Hello everybody. Today we will be talking about you. Yes, about you, but real you, not that person you have artificially created to please the external world. Many of us keep going with daily routine, adjusting to multiple situations and factors, and very frequently not behaving the way we feel, but the way we are expected to behave by our family members or society. And we feel, well, that's little price to pay to make sure relationship work and to make sure we get on well with colleagues at work. And most importantly, to be a nice person. And why it's so important for us, well, for many of us, to be a nice person? Well, we believe if we please other people, they will like us more. Or if it's about parent and children relationship, then children may commonly believe that if they behave well, their parents will love them more. And here is where the fundamental psychological conflict begins. Because if we need to rely on other people or external world to be able to accept ourselves, that will be a failure. We cannot control other people, what they feel, what their mood is. We cannot control external world. We can rely and control who we are and what we feel and think about ourselves. Now remember what we discussed in the first session about brain-body connection and how extremely powerful it is. And we discussed that everything, absolutely everything you experience at the emotional level reflected by physical body function. So virtually, with signaling from your brain to your cells, you tell to your cells to live physically the way you feel. Now imagine you keep going with your daily routine and what you're doing on the regular basis becomes your habit. And then when we keep going for years, it becomes your second nature. And then it becomes a real danger. Because what happens? You really forget where's the real you with your needs, your aspirations, your wishes, and you think the way you live now is absolutely normal. And then what sometimes happens, the person has seemingly very good relationship, good family, growing children, financial stability, good job, but something doesn't feel right. And it's so subjective, you can't really identify what exactly it is causing you a problem. And then some people start to feel really tired and exhausted and not motivated to go ahead with daily living. And they functioning like robots doing what they're expected to do, but not really fully enjoying themselves. And some people end up with true depression. So to begin healing process at the physical or mental level, we really need to go back in time and identify a period when we stopped being ourselves, started to ignore our wishes and our aspirations to make other people more comfortable. And when you manage, then the true healing will begin. And it might be extremely complex process because you need to be honest to yourself and to other people, and your family, your friends may not like that they knew one type of personality and that suddenly you start to behave completely different way. And for many people it will be very difficult to accept it, meaning you can potentially create conflict. But unless you return to true yourself and accept your needs and accept yourself the way you are, you cannot initiate in true healing process. So today we will discuss the main factors influencing brain-body connection, influencing your physical health, and majority of these factors are actually psychological. At least we will concentrate on this today. So the first factor, as we discussed previously, is stress. And we really discussed it in very detail and in the first session, and I explain how exactly it works. If you have stressful environment, how this affects your physical health long term. The next factor we will be discussing is the lack of self-acceptance. And this is a huge problem affecting many people without recognition that it's a real problem. The third factor is negative attitude, negative reaction to external world, which again creates significant trouble for your physical well-being. And the last factor, which we touched in the first session, it's endless internal dialogues. So meaning if we're concerned about something, we continue to think about situation again and again and again. And the problem is, if you have a thought or emotion, even if it's in relation to your past event, your brain recognizes it like happening now. So whatever you think about from your past, or if you're anxious about your future, you create image in your brain that is happening now. And then the physical response with hormonal release, causing stress hormone release, is happening now. So when you're trapped with endless internal dialogues during the day, all this time your body releases stress hormones, disbalancing your immune system function and influencing your well-being and long-term your health. So, two main factors really, stress and loss of self-acceptance. I'll call it LOSA. And some factors cause both, some factors cause more loss or stress, but they're all very important. So we'll just go through some of them. So first group, working, so people who work non-stop. And they may feel very happy about it. They think they're fulfilling their dreams, they're getting financial stability, they truly believe they help other people, and they really feel contented and happy about it. But what they don't recognize is that unless they have some space for themselves to reflect on their feelings, it's quite stressful for their bodies. So another extremely stressful factors are divorce, financial crisis, loss of the family member. Again, this situation usually create these internal dialogues in our head. What could have been done differently? What happened? Why happened? And it's going in circles and in circles. And we really caught by our past events. We can't really live at the present moment. And at the physical level, for your body, it's extremely stressful. So the most important root of having problems with loss of self-acceptance comes from relationship with parents, usually. But there might be multiple variables about the situation. And we'll discuss this in detail on the next slides. So common factors when you don't really accept yourself is being afraid and you're not meeting expectations with other people. You feel ashamed or guilty commonly. You really feel like you can't say no. And you're not following your deep-seated intentions and dreams. And you think it's just obstacles. but this all creates significant stress and further problem with self-acceptance. Keeping the job you don't like create significant problems as well long term, affecting your physical well-being. And whatever is the factor, eventually, if you don't switch on coping mechanisms, you may end up having a lot of negative thinking and constant brainstorm with internal dialogues, which eventually may lead to depression. So now we'll go and discuss in a more concentrated way some patterns of behavior. So workaholics, the person who we discussed can work a lot and be happy and contented and helping other people, and sometimes keep going for many years like that without recognizing how stressful this is for the physical well-being and body. And when I work in A&E, I actually quite commonly seen the situation when, reasonably youngish man is wheeled in to A&E suffering heart attack, and this person still answering phone calls and giving some final instructions about business, and really not recognizing that crisis already happened and they need to stop and reflect on what's happening with their life. So that's real danger. These people usually don't stop with minor health issues and they keep going unless something major happens. And as we discuss, chronic release of stress hormones deplete immune system and eventually cause serious illness. So second very important factor, it's lack of self-acceptance. It may come from different families. It shouldn't be obviously socially deprived family when parents are alcoholic, for example, and ignoring basic needs of their children. It may come from very, what we can say, normal families. But if there is element of control, manipulation, parents who are comparing their children, abusive or criticizing their tastes, their hobbies, judging a lot, all this cause significant stress at childhood. In fact, it causes chronic stress and anxiety, and then when these children become adults, they may feel anxious about minor things. They might be very big perfectionists because it comes from the fears, and they will lose love if they make mistake or do something wrong. These people may have low self-esteem, and again, may be very hidden deeply in subconscious mind, and these adults may not realize and they truly have problem. But still, with signaling from subconscious mind to the cells, we may create significant physical issues and problems functioning at this level. So, what this graph is about, it may seem complex, but I'll explain it, and it's actually very simple. And also it's very, very important, and I'll come back to this slide in the end of this presentation when I will be discussing healing mechanism and how to initiate and maintain healing process to affect your physical well-being. So, this graph represents 4 states of mind. And what it is, it's actually your brain activity, which is measured by electroencephalogram machine, but virtually what it means, at certain period of your day and night, you have certain brain activity with more frequent brainwave or less frequent brainwave. And this is recorded, can be recorded and can be reflected by what we see on this graph. So virtually, if you go from the bottom, deep sleep means your brain have delta activity with brain cycles per second, which is measured in hertz between 0.5 and 3. So children, newborn children up to 2 years, have dominant pattern of delta brain activity. If you take somebody a bit older, so children between 3 and 6 year olds, they mostly have theta activity, which in adult life can only be possible when you're in deep sleep, or it's possible to achieve by some very experienced yogi and meditators who can create this level of consciousness when they're virtually in deep sleep, but they're not in sleep. So why it's important? So this type of brain activity makes your physical body extremely accessible to any stimuli. So everything you create by visualization, being in this theta brain state, will significantly impact your physical body. So children between 7 and 12-year-old mainly have dominant pattern of alpha brain activity. In adult, it's REM type sleep. So sleep when you may have vivid dreams. And again, that's sort of hypnotic state. And for example, if you would go and see a hypnotherapist to achieve something obvious and objective, what hypnotherapists would do, they would induce state of mind, lowering your brain activity to the alpha state at least, and ideally to theta state, and then delivering certain messages. And at the time of this hypnotic state, these messages will be perceived by your brain like true reality, and that's how you can, I don't know, stop smoking or do something significant which you fail to do in your conscious living. And when you grow older, so up to 18-year-old, your brain activity is something between alpha and beta. And then at adult age, we all switch to dominant beta activity, and that helps us to function during the day and keep going with different tasks and routines, completing them with high level of effectiveness. So, we're coming to the main fact. As you can see, during the childhood, our brain activity mainly in the hypnotic state. So what it means, whatever parents say to their children, it's actually accepted as ultimate truth. Because brainwaves in children in state of hypnosis. That's why it's so important who is around children, what influences, what views and ideas children get and hear from adults. Because no child will ever blame parents for whatever they feel. If children feel sad or upset or anxious or not accepted, they will always believe it's their fault. They will never blame their parents. So, if we come to loss of acceptance in adult personality, it's very frequently the results of emotional trauma in childhood. But this is hidden in subconscious mind, because as I said, no child will believe parents have done something wrong. And the common perception will be, well, I'm just not good enough for my parents to love me or accept me. And this create extremely stressful adulthood, impacting relationship, impacting career, all life, and in some people causing depression. So loss are usually deeply rooted in childhood with difficult relationship with our guardians or parents. And in adult life, it's felt like not meeting expectation of other people and commonly feeling guilty or ashamed or really being extremely scared to make a mistake. And it comes a lot with self-criticism. And if person is experiencing self-criticism a lot, then this person not accepting yourself, and then it means this person very likely will be critical to others. They're not permitting to experience joy, and many decisions influenced by thoughts about what parents or other people may think of it. And surely, as you can imagine, this does impact physical well-being, because if you're not having joy, not permitting yourself joy, and excessively self-critical, that's all the time creates disharmonize hormonal release, affecting your immune system and all your body. We'll already discuss in very detail how it works with release of neurotransmitters influencing hormonal release, and we discuss how powerful this mechanism is, and it's happening during the day all the time. And then we discuss, and if you have certain behavior pattern, certain reaction pattern to the world, then it becomes our second nature, create long-term impact on our well-being when we have chronic release of stress hormones over months and years, not giving yourself time and space for healing mechanism. And certainly chronic self-doubt and anxiety result in constant release of stress hormones, eventually weakening significantly your immune system and potentially creating serious illness. So the other important mechanism which comes from the childhood, it's the fact that some children can only get attention and love when they get sick. Well, I mean positive attention and love when they get sick. So where the danger is? The danger is when brain may memorize the sickness like a positive event. Because during the sickness, a child had emotional comfort and chance to rest from troublesome daily routine or just get attention which child never had in normal life. So brain memorizes like very positive event, and this message is sitting deeply in unconscious mind and may create significant impact in how adults behave in adult life. Because if you imagine a person with chronic self-destructive pattern of thinking, and then on the top of this having subconscious memory of feeling emotionally comforted during the sickness, then this dangerous combination signal all body sort of readiness for the disease. And remember, your cells physically live what you feel, whether it comes from conscious or subconscious mind, it doesn't matter. So if even you feel you're fine, but something deeply inside you in conflict, then your cells will be living this conflict at the physical level. So another pattern of sort of brain-body connection may be inherited from your childhood. I'm a mom of 3 children, and I spent many hours on the playground. And what I have observed is the reaction of child to the minor injury could be very different depending on how their parents or their guardian respond to this injury. So for example, you have a little child who fell and injured knee, whatever. And then what I observed, the first thing, this especially happens with little children. So the first thing, this little child looks at mom, and this, if mom shows the expression of fear, anxiety, or horror, then the child starts crying immediately. And as you can imagine, it's nothing to do with this minor injury. It's the way person will be reacting to problems and situation in life which is inherited from the parents, and vice versa. If children see that mom is not concerned and she's gently comforting child and but saying, well, it's fine, and not showing any feeling of anxiety or stress, then child will perceive it like the suffering is not required. It's not like must do. And the stress can be embraced, and coping mechanism will be really, really good in this child when he grows up. So what's really important is attention. Remember that attention is actually energy. Because we discussed previously that every thought, it's electromagnetic activity. So it is energy, potentially measurable energy. When you pay attention to something or to someone, you giving to this event your energy. And 90% of the problem is actually your attitude. Because if you believe any problem should necessarily cause suffering, or illness necessarily needs to cause suffering, if you truly believe in this, then it will happen inevitably. But bizarrely enough, if you try to switch your attention, your mind, to something more positive, then situation may be crucially changed. So it's crucially important where you put your attention, because when you put your energy to something positive, you charge positive event. If you pay attention to something negative, you charge with your energy negative event, meaning it will become even more powerful, meaning it will cause even more problem. So let's talk about solutions. First of all, we need to recognize the problem. This is, as you can imagine, hugely important, because most of us don't realize something is wrong. And then when we manage to recognize the problem, we need time and space for yourself to initiate healing mechanism. And then when you have these two steps completed, then you can create new you. So recognizing the problem, as we discussed, may be very challenging. And I'll mention here only a few factors, but there are many, many others which may cause significant problems influencing brain-body connection mechanism. So no space for yourself, that's very common factor in workaholic people who just keep going and don't have any time or any space for yourself. Doing every day what you don't really want to do, creating internal conflict all the time, having frequent internal dialogues about past events or future problems, having illness that doesn't help and may cause more psychological issues and problems, and obviously feeling anxious about what other people think about you, about situation, about not being accepted, significant problem. If you have any returning fear about whatever it is, about future or finances or our health or something else, this is huge energetic impact on negative event. So fear is charging your life negatively. Staying in toxic relationship, the problem here is that we may not recognize it's toxic relationship, and then the longer we go, the more problematic becomes situation. and constant worries about external world. As I said, there are many other factors and they're very individualized. What's really important for everybody, whatever the problem is, if you have lack of love, lack of joy, lack of love, that means your body will not be physically functioning very well long term. So giving yourself time and space, very, very important. You can really reflect on how you feel, what happened to you, and what's the best way forward. So, creating your new reality should be happening within you. Unless you accept yourself, you will not be able to switch healing process at the physical level. You should not be relying on external factors or people to accept yourself, to enjoy yourself, to make your own decisions, and to feel comfortable the way you are. So really just being yourself and accepting your needs is a crucial and important factor to initiate healing process. And sometimes it means going away from your routine life and creating the time and space to initiate this healing process. I would define two main mechanisms which we'll discuss shortly. First one is stillness, and another one visualization. They work in combination. They can be used on its own, each on its own, or in combination, but they're very powerful, both of them. So stillness, I really prefer word stillness rather than very fancy fashionable word meditation. Because when we think about meditation, we think about some experienced yogi sitting in certain yogi position and doing whatever God knows what they're doing, and we think like, no, it's not for me. But that's why I don't like word meditation, because meditation can come with different techniques. The main thing is, and it doesn't really matter what you're doing and how you're doing, as far as you achieve stillness inside yourself, that's what truly matters. So stillness means just switching off from your daily life, your daily routine, but what's most important, from your chaotic thinking. And if you attempt finding quiet space, sitting down comfortably, closing your eyes, and then thinking, okay, I'll now be still, well, actually, it's very difficult to achieve that, because you'll realize the thoughts going through your mind all the time, absolutely endless process. And you'll be surprised to find that you actually cannot stop it. It's very difficult. So stillness, it's really the process and practicing, and it doesn't come easily. Or even if you practice and you achieved some good results, it doesn't mean each time you want to achieve stillness, you just close your eyes and come to you. It doesn't happen this way. But what I'm trying to say, it doesn't matter how you do it. What really matters, it's devoting time to yourself and switching off your thought process as much as possible. And if thoughts go through your mind and you can't stop it, it's fine. Don't be critical to yourself. It's absolutely fine. But what's most important, you sort of sit and watch your thoughts, and you detach yourself from your thoughts. And if even it's some anxious thoughts or about some troubles or problems, or again from your past, or anxieties about the future, whatever it is, with time you'll be able to realize that all these thoughts is not you. And you can just observe them. They come and go, and you sort of observe them from the side. And then when you manage to achieve this technique, when you open your eyes and go to live your normal day, then you actually realize then whatever happens to you or whatever you think, you will be more detached from this thinking process in your daily routine. So you will not immediately accept it like yourself. So if you feel sad or you feel upset about something, you will not immediately transcribe it into response, usually negative response to the external world. When you go further with practicing, you may achieve better and better results. And when you come to your quiet place, close your eyes and try to be really thought-free. During these moments, your physical being is very harmonized, because during the period when you don't have any destructive thoughts or any thoughts at all, your body releases only good harmonizing hormones. And you can watch the first session again just to remind yourself what these hormones are. And this is extremely powerful mechanism for well-being. So each time you devote time to yourself to try and achieve some stillness, you actually heal your body at the physical level. So the other positive moments are you manage to quiet your mind, and this practice you can bring to your daily living, because then you'll create ability to live in present minute. So you'll be finding yourself more and more being able to focus and concentrate on key moments during the day without being trapped by some destructive thoughts or dialogues. And as I said, during the stillness process, you have no physical tension whatsoever, initiating healing process. So as I said, you may read about meditation techniques or to achieve your stillness from different sources, and everybody will come with different solution. But the point is, it doesn't matter what you do and how you do it, as far as you achieve what you really want, to distract your thoughts, to distract your thought process, and to distract yourself from the routine life. So some people do it concentrating on muscle relaxation. It's actually a very useful technique, because instead of just sitting quiet, you concentrate on relaxing your muscles. So again, how do you do it? Very simple. You find quiet space. You need time for yourself. You sit or lie in comfortable position. If you lie, you may fall asleep easily, so probably sitting is the best. And then you close your eyes, and instead of trying to stop your thinking process, which might be very challenging, you actually concentrate on your muscles. And you pay attention to your face muscles first and relax them. And then you go to your jaw, pay attention to your muscles there and relax them. And then go to your neck and do the same. And then slowly you move down your chest, your abdominal muscles, your pelvic muscles. You go to your arms and legs. And actually you'll commonly find then, as soon as you focus your attention on certain muscle group, you'll be able to relax them. But then when you move further, if you pay attention, you'll realize some other muscles became tense again. So it becomes really a bit of process and practicing to achieve full relaxation with your muscles. So how it will help? So first of all, it will distract your thinking process and you will focus it on something very specific. And secondly, relaxing your muscles, again, very powerful mechanism to give some well-being to your cells. And actually, you'll find that if you practice this more and more often, when you go to your real life, and for example, you're working hard during the day, previously you never paid attention what your muscles do. And sometimes you may end up in the end of the day having really tense neck, and then this may result in headaches. But then when you practice this muscle relaxation technique during your meditation or stillness process, you'll easily will be able to find out that you are actually tense during the day, and then consciously relax your muscles. And it's actually a very small thing, but with very powerful effect on the way how you feel. So the other technique is breathing. And again, well, it is important how you breathe, but I wouldn't go too much in detail about it just now. What's really important, that breathing may again help you concentrate on something very specific, meaning you can relax easily. And second very powerful technique have to create healing process at the physical level, it's visualization. So how it works? Remember this graph, and remember that standard brain activity in any adult person is beta brain activity. At that state of mind, we cannot create any healthy or powerful environment for brain-body connection. Only when brain activity is slowed down to alpha or theta state, then only in that state, any command or any image you create in your brain will be accepted by your brain like existing reality. So that's how you experience brain and body connection in action. So what it really means. When you achieve your stillness, what you really do, if you really manage to achieve this stillness and be thought free, then slowly your brain activity will go down, initially to alpha state, and that's what majority of usual people can achieve, just alpha state, because theta state is really very difficult and may be really experienced by very experienced yogi or meditators. But most of us can achieve alpha brain activity, meaning we get ourselves to the state of mind when we very perceptive to any hypnosis, to any influence from outside world. But what we do, we achieve stillness, we are thought free, and then we start to visualize what we want. And it's really, really very powerful technique if it's done correctly, and with practicing it can only become better. So virtually you visualizing yourself in the state of mind or physical health you want to be. You can create absolutely any image you want. And it's important also to create final results of your visualization. This means if you have, for example, have some health problems, or for example, you want to stop smoking and you can't do it. So you, as example, achieve stillness, you slow down your brain activity, you're sort of in a hypnotic state, and then you just create an image that you standing somewhere in the place where you usually used to smoke, and you're throwing away a cigarette, and you're absolutely comfortable about this. And generally, in the end, you create the image when you don't smoke at all anymore, and you're very comfortable with this. And you can create any other image, like you have now saved a lot of money to go for travel, to enjoy something else. Whatever is the image, if it's created in this hypnotic state of mind, it will be extremely powerful. So it's up to you what you want to create. You can imagine yourself or your body being in sphere of light, which dissolve any diseased or dense cells in your body. You can create absolutely any image you want. And if you do it really in this alpha or theta brain activity, this will be extremely powerful message for brain-body connection. And certainly the better the focus and concentration on the thought or image, the better the effect. And as I said, it comes with practicing, and it's not easy to achieve. But you can't make any harm here. And it can only make your life better. So, all the power of reshaping your realities inside you, and you should begin with yourself. And when you will manage to pay more attention to yourself and to your needs and to accept yourself truly, you'll become less and less dependent on what other people think about you or what's actually happening in the external world. Because remember, you cannot control the external world, but you can change your perception and your reaction to external world. And that's what will make huge difference to your physical and mental well-being. And to end this presentation, I want to demonstrate probably one of the most important experiments in quantum physics. Well, you may think, what crazy situation is, you don't want to know about physics and it's too complex. But I'll explain you what I mean, and it's actually quite simple. But why this experiment is important to all of us? Well, it describes the fundamental functioning of the universe. And this fundamental functioning is applied to each of us as individual person living in this universe. So what this experiment showed, as you know, or as you may know, the light may behave like a wave, or it might behave like a particle. So that's sort of duality of the existence. So imagine that light can be in two shapes, put it this word, two shapes at once. So what physics done, they initially created source of light and let light go through the double slit, as you can see on this image. And physics didn't measure what's going on, but on the background they created a screen just to see what happens with light when it goes through this double slit. And then if it was spontaneous process and nobody measured it, then on the screen the light would show this interference pattern, so meaning it behaves like a wave and goes through both slits simultaneously. But then physicists changed the experiment, and at the detector, on the double slit, they placed a detector to actually measure what happens with light. And then what happened, the light started to behave like a particle, creating just two sort of specific lines on the back screen. So with observation, light started to behave like a particle. So why it's so important? So before measurement, the light, the photon, can exist as many possible paths at once. But what changes the outcome, it's actually the fact that we have observed it. So the fact we paid attention, we gave our energy to something, changes the outcome. And that's absolutely fundamental principle how everything works in our reality on Earth and in the universe. When we pay attention to something, we change the outcome. So imagine all possible outcomes are there. But our conscious attention, that's what changes our reality. And when we pay attention to something specific, we choose one outcome for all possible existing probabilities. So, it's only you who can decide where to put your attention. And when you put your attention to something, you put your energy there. It's up to you whether you charge positive events or you charge negative events. But it has absolutely huge, powerful influence on your brain-body connection and how your physical body functions depending on how you feel. So, you can only create your new reality within yourself. And two very powerful techniques, it's stillness and visualization. And really, at the base of this pyramid is accepting yourself. Everything starts with this. Then, very important as well, stop negative thinking, stop negative reaction, stop judging, and enjoy present moment. And when you achieve this, you will create very powerful healing process for your body.